Hello, welcome to Man for Plus Magic. Thank you so much for watching. Today I've got Experiment Kraj. He was one of my favorite, and still is one of my favorite, commander decks to play. It is not competitive at all, but it is very fun. So if you're looking for a very fun deck, look no further. Without further ado, here is Experiment Kraj. What do it do? Experiment Kraj is meant to add counters, get bigger, proliferate, and just kind of be fun. Kraj has all activated abilities of creatures with counters on them, and activated ability is anything with a colon. And Kraj can target any creature, meaning that he can steal our opponent's creature's abilities if needed. Now we got Ramp Plus. Soul Ring, just a Soul Ring. You know why. Mana Vault and Basalt Monolith. Yes, I have a Mana Vault in the deck. You can definitely cut it out to save some money, though. My good friend Wes gave it to me as a very nice gift, and so much thanks to you, Wes. Anyway, the point of these is that we can have ways to untap them other than paying the untap cost, which makes them highly effective. Incubation Druid and Gyre Engineer. These two are both able to tap for 2 or 3 mana, and there are a couple of combos I'll show you later to utilize this fact. Fertilid and Vastwood Surge. Fertilid can remove counters and search for lands. Kraj can add counters and also has that same ability of searching for lands the moment Fertilid comes out. You can also maximize your land ramp with this. Vastwood Surge is a simple search for lands card, but it can also place 2+1/+1 counters on all of your creatures if you kick it. This can be very handy in late game. Everflowing Chalice and Replicating Ring. Everflowing Chalice only really needs to enter with 1 counter on it, because we'll proliferate the crap out of it, and then it'll tap for a ton of mana. And Replicating Ring gets a counter every turn, then duplicates itself 8 times, and then we'll proliferate the crap out of that as well and make a bunch more good times. Activated abilities. Here's where Kraj really shines. Narnum Cobra, Amaranthan Wall, Plaxcaster Frogling. These all grant some sort of bonus to Kraj, who we really want to protect. We've got Death Touch, we got Indestructible, we got Shroud, and all are very good and come in very handy when Kraj is under threat. And with Plaxcaster Frogling out, it's easy to graft a counter onto an entering creature to give Kraj that creature's ability too. Hero's Bane allows us to double the number of counters on itself and on Kraj, and since it enters with those counters, Kraj is already online. Aetherling and Thornling. These guys can come in very, very handy. They have a ton of text, but the gist is that they add more ways for Kraj to elude our opponents. Flicker, Unblockable, Haste, Trample, Indestructible. These are very good and a must for any Kraj deck. Rootwater Hunter taps to deal 1 damage to any target. Seems decent, but I'll get there in just a sec. That sec is now. Simigragworm, Horseshoe Crab, Freed from the Reel. These are the money makers of the deck and allow Kraj to go infinite. And for demonstration purposes, I'll just show you how this will go. Alright, so you want to have Kraj out. You want to have Gyre Engineer or Incubation Druid. You want Horseshoe Crab, Simigragworm, or Freed from the Reel. And on the side, let's do a Rootwater Hunter, just for good measure. But let's simplify this. You got these 3 out. Gyre Engineer and Horseshoe Crab need to have counters on them, so Kraj has their abilities, right? Now, since Kraj he can tap for green and blue. Horseshoe Crab taps for, you pay a blue and it untaps. Tap Kraj for a green and a blue. So this will represent our green and blue, right? Now, with that blue, untap Kraj. Still have a floating green. Now do it again. Now you got 2 floating green. Then use it again. Untap it. Now you got an unlimited green mana for the turn. Now, if you have Incubation Druid out, when she has a counter on it, she taps for 3 mana of any one color. So, what you want to do is do the same thing, all in blue. So you've got unlimited blue. And then do it again for green, because use that unlimited blue to do it unlimited times for green. Now you've got infinite blue and green mana. Alright, now another way to use this. Got those same things out with their counters. Now we can put out a Rootwater Hunter. Now this needs a counter on it. So we'll put a counter on it. With our multiple ways to put counters on things. Since Kraj can untap,
and we've got unlimited mana. Let's tap him to deal a damage to something, because that's what this does. Now let's untap him. Now let's do that an infinite number of times. Infinite number of damage to each of our opponents and each of their creatures if we'd like. Kind of neat here, you know. You see what I'm saying? See what I'm picking up? See what I'm stepping in? Or smelling what I'm stepping, you know, you get.
And now back to our regularly scheduled programming. More counters! More! Scoot Mob, Mana Gorger Hydra, and Hydra's Growth. These don't have activated abilities, but they are scary, and Scoot Mob is one of my favorites for sure. Basically, when something happens to trigger one of these guys, they get more and more counters. Play Mana Gorger Hydra turn 2 or 3, and your opponents will have something very scary to deal with very soon. Renata Called to the Hunt. Renata is awesome. She makes it so we never have to worry about using resources to place counters on our creatures. They'll just enter with an additional counter, fueling Kraj even further. Galloping Lizrog, another big scary creature. When it enters, basically redistribute your counters onto it, then double that number. It can get insane. I'm not making this up when I say I've had 8 D20s on this guy, denoting how many counters it had on it. It was freaking nuts. The Ozolith. And if someone just so happens to kill your Lizrog after all that work, all those counters will be placed on the Ozolith, making sure you never lose those precious things. Each creature with a +1/+1 counter has XYZ. Yes, this is a very long category title, but it works. Skatewing Spy, Zagana Utopian Speaker, and Herald of Secret Streams. These 3 do very similar things. All your creatures with +1/+1 counters on them have flying, or trample, or unblockable. Great buff for all your creatures, and kind of a workaround sometimes if no one has a kill spell. And Zagana lets us draw a card if we meet the requirement. And did I mention Kraj has all these adaptabilities as well? Let's proliferate. Evolution Sage. This is by far the best proliferator in my opinion. It's so easy to get lands out, and it's green. And that's almost a guaranteed proliferate every turn. Well, unless your mana's screwed. Flux Channeler and Inexorable Tide. Whenever we cast a non-creature spell, or any spell for that matter, respectively, we proliferate. This can get very out of hand if we've got the right mana, and opponents will definitely hate you. Contagion Clasp and Contagion Engine. Some sick, nasty, contagious goop all over opponents' creatures. Smother that goop all over their buns. Proliferate those -1/-1 counters, and it's still not as degenerate as Infect. Am I right? Roalesque Apex Hybrid. This dude be hoppin'. He's like a frog, a crab, bird, human, octopus guy. Yeah, bet you didn't see that little octopus tail back there, did ya? He has flying and trample, adds counters to our other creatures, and proliferates twice when he dies. What's not to love here? Alright, now let's tap and untap. Make sure we can do things we want to do with Kraj by tapping and untapping our creatures. We got Stony Strength and Dramatic Reversal. A couple of good commons here in my opinion. Stony Strength places a counter on a creature for us and untaps it. And Dramatic Reversal untaps all our non-land permanents. Great combat tricks, or just great fuel for the cause. Retreat to Coral Helm and Puppet Strings. Landfall, tap or untap a creature, or scry one. This is a pretty versatile effect in the deck, and Puppet Strings may not be the best artifact that taps or untaps a creature, but I sure do love the context of being the Puppet Master. Kiora's Follower and Vizier of Tumbling Sands. Both of these do the same thing, Kiora's Follower being a hair more efficient, but the Vizier has a last-ditch effort cycling effect that could possibly come in handy. Mercfiend Liege and Seedborn Muse. Now we're talking. This freaking chonky horror beefs all our creatures and it untaps all our creatures during every untap step. Very handy. And Seedborn Muse is just a frightening name to hear at a table. Everyone knows what she does, and they all know what she means, and that's trouble. Untapping everything you have every turn is insane, and in this deck it essentially gives you an extra turn on your opponent's turns. So useful. Card Draw Plus. Now, these are card draw spells, but they also do a little something more. Growth Spiral lets us draw a card and ramp a little bit, and it's just a great card. Hydroid Krasis and Guardian Project. The Krasis is so good. I got it as my foil during the pre-release. He kicked butt. Always good no matter what stage of the game you're in. Drawing cards and gaining life is always great. And Guardian Project always guarantees an extra card whenever you cast a creature spell. Super nice. Inspiring Call and Momentous Fall. Grants a sweet indestructible buff whenever we need it, and you'll draw a card for each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it, which should presumably be a lot. And Momentous Fall may take a step backwards, but it can be super useful when you're being targeted by everyone at the table. They may cast Murder on your giant Galloping Lizrog, and instead you sack it, draw a ton of cards, and gain a ton of life. Steady Progress and Tezzeret's Gambit. Draw one card, or two, then proliferate. Simple and effective for each of these cards. Plus, Tezzeret's Gambit uses Phyrexian mana, making it that much easier to cast. A bit of protection, not much player interaction in the deck, but hey, it's still fun to play. Incubation/Incongruity, Beast Within, and Imprisoned in the Moon. I don't like my opponents having things, right? So I'll exile, destroy, or just imprison on the moon, as one does. These are amazing spells, and I think Imprisoned on the Moon is one of the best commander removal spells, hands down. Oh yeah, Incubation can get you a thing from your deck or whatever, but you probably just use Incongruity. Return to Nature and Bane of Progress. I also don't like others having artifacts or enchantments, because they're not mine. And kaboom! Bane of Progress is, again, maybe a step back, but aren't most board wipes. And it's hard to look away from a possibly massive creature with +1/+1 counters on it. Fuel for the Cause. Not the most efficient counterspell, but I really like it because it also proliferates for us. Not a bad 2-for-1. Aether Gale. This can always come in handy. It's just a bit of insurance for all the scary things other people have. Some extras. This section is kind of all over the place, so it's going to be hard to group them. 1,000-Year Elixir. This is an incredible jar to have out. We can just activate our creature's abilities as soon as they come out, and it has the added ability of untapping a creature for us as well. Vivian, Champion of the Wilds, and Primal Empathy. Like I said, not much good grouping here. Vivian is handy because of the casting creature's instant speed. Her other abilities are nice, like Vigilance and Reach, or for a turn around the table, but the flash ability is the main thing here. And Primal Empathy always will be useful. Placing a counter for us, or drawing a card if the conditions are met. Super duper handy. Brawn. Brawn should be in every green deck. Giving our creatures trample almost all the time is highly effective, especially for that Lizrog I keep talking about. Song of Freyalise. This is a nice rampy type spell, and it gives an amazing combat bonus for a turn, plus the added benefit of the +1/+1 counters on all our creatures. Bala Ged Recovery. This just helps with retrieving something from our graveyard or becoming a land when we need it. Now let's win already. Are you just sick of waiting and need to win already? Well, here you go. Simic Ascendancy and Helix Pinnacle. Once you have so many counters, you just win the game. No more waiting. Well, I mean a little bit waiting, but honestly, if you can just pull off that combo I showed before, you'll just win in a turn. Unless, of course, someone blows one of them up, but hey, we don't think about that, okay? These are definitely controversial, so run at your own risk because some people don't like the you just win the game terminology because it screws up the game. Whatever, I like them. Lands. I highly recommend Karn's Bastion and Mage Ring Network here to be able to utilize Proliferate and add as much mana as you can. But other than that, I've been totally fine running this deck with mostly basic lands, and it works great. Here are the tokens you'll need. A 3/3 Frog Lizard and a 3/3 Beast.
I just love this deck. It can get bonkers, and I've been the enemy of games because I've been so scary. But yeah, like I say, it's not that competitive, so it's a little bit slow sometimes. Maybe it doesn't work, but like every deck, But hey, thank you so much for watching, and please remember to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hey, check me out on TikTok. I'm on TikTok now, so hey, I don't know, come say hi, and vice versa, So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video next week at Thursday, 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I just need to end the video. I'm so bad.